Jason. A second.
Sure.
We don't have any room here.
Yeah.
It's ready to go.
This is stupid.
Hey, Dane, you want to come up here? I'll grab you a chair.
No. I saw a couple doors. I can't shoot them up. Yeah, we got this in. We didn't have a meeting right away. We didn't have a meeting. A month away. It was a month away.
So how does kind of, it's similar to there's
Yeah.
even if you kind of just turn it over to you and kind of explain what and if they have any questions. Sure. Okay. So then if they would make a motion. Some councils recommend the council. And then if the next council, or something like that, that would, we would have to have council come up with it for the next one. Okay.
The old days. Oh.
If anybody wants to speak, did they get a chance to sign in? Grab it. Just can't.
taking forever for that
For
minute
one
to
minute.
flip over. All right, at 6 o'clock, I'll call the order of the meeting. A roll call's been taken. A motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Bob,
Second.
second by Rich. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the previous committee of the whole minutes,
So moved.
moved by Norm,
I'll second.
second by Eric. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Citizens comment, Ken Irwin, like you to address the committee of the whole.
Okay, Ken Irwin, I think most of you know who I am. I'm the District 20 County Board Supervisor, County Supervisor. That entails pretty near all of the city except Ward 3. But anyway, I'm not here to ask for anything or not even complain about anything. I just really, it's on a much brighter note. If we think back to a couple weeks ago, Saturday and Sunday, country Christmas. What an awesome event. I think the city ought to really, really be proud of themselves. It can be done. How many years had it been since we had a parade? Wasn't it great?
It was.
And I
Park
want
is
to make
wonderful.
sure that every one of you get back to anybody that you know and show your appreciation. There's ones like Becca, and I'm sure everybody else maybe knows somebody or were personally involved in making that an event. It was awesome. I mean, it was above all expectations as far as I'm concerned. In fact, one of my fellow supervisors from the Burley Potter area, she happens to be on the Parks and Rec board for the county. And she said to me, she was here for that. And she wishes the county would have something like we have at Kiwanis Park to work with. And I think that we should keep that in mind. We can do a lot more down there. I think this was just the beginning. Let's all put our mind to it and come up with ideas. We got a lot of acreage down there that isn't being used properly, or, it can be expanded. And what I would like to see is, Mark, you're the president of the chamber. Are you listening? I think it's very important that we have a critique of the event for all people concerned. Not only the chamber members, but everybody that had a part of this. And there was a lot of individuals, clubs, whatever. I was there for the Salvation Army, and I want to say thank you because I filled my bucket. Never expected to. It was an awesome event. So thank you for that, and Merry Christmas.
All right, thank you. Item 6, finance and purchasing, review of the financials. Action move to the common council, the approval of the monthly invoices. Moved by Becca, second by Brad. Any questions or discussion on them? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review of the treasurer's report.
Just add that we're tracking pretty good to be in the positive at the end of the year. We also shouldn't have to touch that fund balance that we applied to the budget last year to balance it. So that was about 148,000. I think we should be able to not have to do that and still remain in the black for the year. So I think we're doing pretty well.
All right, thanks. Item 7, protection of persons and property, none. City buildings and grounds, none. Rec director, none. Personnel, none. Old business, none. New business. discussion action, park rental and special events application. Spring Fling Craft and Vendor Show, May 11th, 2024.
Yeah, I believe this is the second annual or maybe even the third annual event that they've done. And they're looking at also doing some road closures. The map is attached to that. Otherwise, yes, it is on the 11th, starting at 9 and going till 3. May 11th, I'm sorry, 2024.
Other roads. Roads are the same.
It's expanded
It's expanded.
more down Illinois, I think.
Make a motion to approve it and send it to council.
Motion made by Brad,
Second.
second by Rich. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion action proposal from NAI Pfeffel for real estate services for the former Tecumseh site.
Okay, so I was working with the economic development department up at the county when I first got here, and we were talking about some of the options and things that we had for that. And they put me in touch with Pfefferly, basically to kind of give me a history or some background on how we could use that site. And so it was meant to be an educational session. It was, but then I approached them afterward. I asked them what kind of services they provide to do that. Since that time, I met with Dane. He's come out. We've looked at the different properties we have in our TIDs and outside of our TIDs. And they since sent over a proposal so that they would, for us to work with them to help market both the Tecumseh site and some of the properties within TID 4. So I'm going to turn it over to Dane. He can kind of walk through what the proposal that he sent over was.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Dane Chekalinsky. I'm a commercial real estate advisor with NAI Pfefferly. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Pfefferly, but essentially the largest commercial real estate firm north of Milwaukee and Madison. We like to remind people that there's more to Wisconsin than just those areas. I'm out of the Sheboygan office. We're headquartered out of Appleton. We also have Green Bay, Wausau, and a person out of Door County. Just to give you a little background myself, for 10 years, I ran Sheboygan County Economic Development. And about 3 years ago, I made the jump into commercial real estate. Prior to economic development, I worked for a couple of municipalities, City of Marengo, City of Whitewater, Walworth County. So I'm pretty familiar with how municipalities operate. So I think that's the primary reason why they called me in to take a look at the community. I already work with several communities, the Village of Oudsburg, City of Winneconne, trying to get something with Campbellsport going. Those are just the few that I work with. And given my economic development background, really a lot in industrial and housing development. Colin was kind enough to take me around town, kind of show me the various sites that the community owns, and try to just, after thinking about this for a while, ask him if you want me to put together something in writing that could be presented to you, the board. And if you decided to basically put them on the open market, what would that look like? What are some of the advantages? What are some of the disadvantages? Those types of things. So I believe most of you have probably seen a basic proposal. The first thing that really struck me is the community has a lot of land that it owns that it would like to see developed. A lot more than most communities this size, which I thought was just kind of interesting. And it seems to run the gamut from, the old Tecumseh site all the way to a newer business park and probably some lots much more suited for residential development. I know that there are various parts, various TIDs, but one of the first things that you're going to want to do as a community, regardless if you hire me or just whatever, is start to put some values on them. I made a quick round of recommendations. I'm not tied to those at any length, but anything that doesn't promote as a value, or anything you're just, even if you're willing to do $1, you just don't want to put it out there because you just want to make sure there's value in your community, and you want to sell those lots at a value, even if you give it back in a TIF or after a building permit is pulled, because otherwise it'll bring everyone else's appraisals down, and that's not what you want in your community. When someone pulls appraisals for someone's commercial property, a house, you want to see exchanges happening at real dollar levels. Regardless, even if, like I said, if there's a TIF. it actually works to the developer's advantage because then they get to assess it. Their bank will assess it at that value. Then if they get it back, they can treat it as a grant versus just off the top of their project. So there's also a developer reason for an advantage for that. I outlined, some of the things that you can control in a municipality early on in the developer's agreement, and that's just a hard slog to do the work or to issue the studies or just to get better prepared for it. But ultimately, I am a commercial real estate agent, just like a residential agent. We work on commissions only. The commission structure I proposed, I think it's on the second last page, reflects pretty much what we have with the Village of Bootsburg and with the Winnet County Business Park. The reason for kind of a flat fee commission versus a traditional percentage is that if you do give away the land for $1, your traditional 6% of $1 isn't too appealing for me. So it basically tries to mimic a private party sale. So with that, I don't know if I'm allowed to take questions. I don't know if there are any questions, but that's just a very high level overview. Myself, like I said, I'm out of the Sheboygan area. That's where I call home. And so I'm only about a half an hour away. So.
When you say private party sale, you're considering that the city and the whole thing being a private party?
What I mean is, we try to, so when we first the first community I started working with was the Village of Bootsburg. And we ran into the problem, like, how are we going to do this? Because they're willing to basically give land away for $1 if it means getting the property, and they won't hesitate to do that. And so it's like, okay, what would land be worth with water and sewer to site? The reality is that land zone commercial is probably worth between 50 and 100,000, depending on its location. Because water and sewer, just to get it to the site, as you guys probably know and seen those bills from the engineers and the construction, it's probably some in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $60,000 to build industrial lots, right? So even if you sell the land at, most municipalities are willing to sell it for $1 or $20,000, you're already taking a $40,000 to $60,000 bath the second you sell that property, in hopes that it develops something that's good for the community. So what I mean, private party sale, if a private party was coming in developing that business park, they'd be selling lots at 60, 80, 100,000 an acre. Otherwise, it would make no sense for a private party to do it.
Would there be still guidelines on that? Say they purchase it, or once they buy it, they can kind of do whatever. Like, I know right now, was it usually if you give someone property, you give them 5 years to do something with it, and if they don't, then the city gets it back.
Sure.
Is that something that's normally done, or once that's gone, they can sit on it as long as they want?
I would say most municipalities don't give that long of a rope. Most municipalities I work with, it's 1 or 2 years, or they'll close when a building permit is about ready to be pulled after it's been approved. So I've seen various clawback provisions. 1 to 2 years is common, or hey, we want this approved. Once it's approved through our planning commissions, we will sell it before we issue the building permit because that might take time, but it's much more controlled.
Gotcha.
Now, having said that, depending on the parcel where it is, I have sold lots that have no strings attached where the municipality just wanted it off their books for various reasons. So it's really a matter on you guys on how you want to control that development, and what type of assurances you feel are appropriate. I strongly recommend clawback provisions because, again, you're selling that property at a loss. It would be, I think that's very important. The other one is that a right of first refusal, meaning that they can't turn around and sell a vacant land. You sell it to them for 10 grand an acre, and then they turn around and sell it for 30 because the value is probably there. That's the last thing you want to see as well. So most municipalities definitely have their attorney create several protections.
So I think the developer's agreement will look pretty similar to what we are, except in the case like he's talking about, what about the value he was just discussing, was instead of selling it for that $1, you sell it for that 24. This is actually a better protection, I would think, for us, because now they get that 24 back when they build.
Yeah,
So that's already tied into there, where we don't have to wait for the full 2 years. They're going to want their money back if they're going to build, and I think they would build it. But it would probably mirror similar to what our current developers agreements are, but that you would just tie that into it.
Yeah. And giving them, if there is an incentive, working it after the building permit's pulled, but before permanent financing comes in, that's usually where you'd want to do it. That's where they can count it as equity in their project.
Okay.
If they're working with
How does that work then? So we hire you to to do the assessment of the property itself. Say you're selling 1 acre, say 20,000, just broad numbers. That developer comes in, says, I want to develop this business here. We all agree to it. Before that happens, they pull the permit. And do they pay the 20 grand right away, or is they ex-nate the 20 grand?
Yeah,
And then on top of that, if they do it and they do the 20 grand, do we still pay you the 6%?
All right, so go back to a really great question. So when someone comes in, would they pay the money for the property? The answer is yes. Obviously, they'd have earnest money down, and then when they close, they would close. And then I would recommend that those funds be basically held in an escrow or in your normal accounts. And then after they pull the building permit, whatever the incentive, whatever you guys want to agree to, would then be returned to them after they pulled the building permit, but before the building's completed, and thus their final financing put into place. Commission would be due upon sale, upon the actual closing of the property, wherever that is in the process. Whether you do it, we're going to wait till everything's approved before we sell the property. Whether that's we're going to give them a 12-month rope to do that, whatever that looks like. But commission would be owed upon closing. Again, the closing, and then of course the fees labeled out are just flat fees per acre, because pricing will. I imagine if you have someone you really want in here, you're going to do what it takes.
Is this going to be on the MLS system as well? That and the biggest thing is the outreach and advertising, because that is something I've talked to other businesses, and it was something that the city was lacking. There wasn't very much advertising. It wasn't very easy to navigate through some of it. I mean, there's some, even Cullen and I talked about it a little bit. There was some, but I think you guys would make it a lot.
Yeah, we use, given the fact we're in a small market, I use both commercial and residential services. So MLS is traditionally the residential service. I am a member, and yes, we would put it in there. The commercial services would be things like CoStar and Crexi, and then we would also have rotating LoopNet ads, as well as signage are the main marketing thrusts. Plus the other one that we do offer, I've meticulously groomed a list of every banker, CPA, attorney that I've ever met. And the idea is that if a business is looking to expand, they're usually talking to one of those three. And commercial real estate is very much like planting seeds. You might send something to an attorney. They won't have anyone for 2 years. Then suddenly, someone will come to them. Hey, I'm looking at doing something in Calumet County. Oh, here's something, right? So it's a slugfest in commercial.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Fran.
I want to go to the fees and the services. First of all, my first question is how many total acres is on that site? As what I see is about 75. Is that correct?
Which side you're talking about, the TID 6 or TID 4, Fran?
No, I'm talking about the Tecumseh site.
Let's see, 1, 2, 5, 3.
I'm blanking.
Say 1 through 4. I would say subtotal 350. Looks like it's about 70-ish, 80. That's kind of what I'm getting.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm seeing now. Okay, then my question would be is, as far as the fees and services, you've got down $4,000 an acre for a broker-generated lead. That being if another broker finds a lead and passes it on to you. Am I correct?
Yes, we would be splitting that commission with the other agency.
So in other words, if that, let's say it's 70 acres, that's $280,000. Am I correct?
That math would be about accurate.
Okay. My other question is, if I find a party or a buyer, are you saying that I would get $3,000 an acre of the 70 and I would make $210,000?
No.
No, that's saying if someone approached the village, because once we get the word out, what we find is that quite a few people just simply go straight to the village. They heard, I didn't know you had a business park. What can I do there? Our fee would be reduced. And it's hard to tell how that lead was actually generated, if it was from just everyone in the community knowing that something exists, or was it, hey, now signs are out, now marketing's out, Now I want to come forward with my idea because now I quote unquote have permission to do that. So we reduce our
Just a minute,
fee
sir.
from a standpoint of,
Hear me out, please. If I come to you and say I've got a party or a lead, what will I get for that lead? Is it not with what you've got stated where it says $3,000 an acre for village generated lead?
we are only allowed to pay commissions to licensed real estate agents or attorneys by state
So
law.
what's that in there for then?
That is if somebody approaches Cullen and says, hey, I heard you got land for sale on the west side, and it wasn't originating in our office, Cullen kicks it over to me, said, Dane, work with them, get everything lined up that we need to see. I would work with them, get them lined up and bring them back to Cullen and to the board to take a look at if it's a party you want to sell property to.
So what's the $3,000 yet? I mean, if I go to Colin tomorrow and say I've got a party who wants to buy that, and then he generates the services back to you,
Fran, I
what
think
would I receive?
nothing. So basically what Fran is what's going on is if the lead doesn't come from them, it comes from the city, then the commission is reduced. Their commission is reduced. The 3,000 is their commission. The commission is 3,000 if we generate the lead as a city. The commission is 4,000 if they generate the lead as Pfefferly.
Please repeat that, Colin.
So if Pfefferly's commission would be $3,000 if the city generated a lead. If someone came to the city and said, I want to build there, came to myself,
Okay,
yourself,
I follow you. Yeah, I follow.
and
Go
then
ahead.
and then if they come directly to Pfefferly, then it's 4,000. So basically the commission's reduced if we bring them the lead, but the commission's theirs no matter what. It's either 3,000 or 4,000 for Pfefferly. It just depends on where the lead comes from.
But I guess I'm confused. If he sells the land, he's going to get 6% commission. My other question is, what does floor commission mean?
Basically, the floor is de facto, I think, at the price points we're talking about, maybe with the exception of some lots directly on the highway that we might be able to get a higher price point. The floor is basically the best way to look at this, I think, is the commission's either going to be 3,000 or 4,000 an acre, depending on how the lead comes in.
Unless you sell something for $100,000 for an acre,
Which-
and then it would be 6% of $100,000.
Correct.
It'll go up from 3,000 to 4,000. That's the bottom.
Correct, and I think you have a lot or two on the western side that I think could easily command 100,000 an acre price.
They're getting commission for the job that they're doing to put the word out and market the property. So that's why they're getting, that's how they're getting paid to do that service.
Okay, and my other question then, Mr. Chairman, is with compensation, are you saying we got to have a field survey for 1,000, design and bidding for 5,500, and estimated project fee for 6,500?
That's a different subject, Brand.
Oh, it is. Okay, that's not involving the Tecumseh site.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one other question. I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
What are we asking for that property? Or what is his recommendation as to what the cost? What are we asking for that Tecumseh site property? Monetary, money-wise.
Broken into like 8 lots. We're looking at a PDF, right?
Do you have the handout that he gave us, Fran? With all the details?
I guess I do somewhere, but I don't have it. I mean, he should have that.
Yeah.
I mean, why do I gotta look it up? You know, obviously.
We're
he's
just
got
gonna
to have the
reference
price
you to a
figured out.
page.
He's looking at anywhere, depending on the various lots that how they're split up, anywhere from 15 to 39,000 a lot in that area. The 39,000 being the old parking lot that doesn't have any contamination issues down there, and then up
Yeah.
through 15,000 up into the other areas where towards the north there. So anywhere from 15 to 39,000, Fran.
per lot. Now, how many lots are on that Tecumseh site on the north side of that parking lot?
7,
Eight.
8.
8 times whatever he said, what, is that the same price for each lot then?
No, it all varies.
Some of them are smaller.
By size, I understand that, that's why I'm asking.
Per acre.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
some are split out by acre and some are split out by lot.
The smaller ones.
Because some just don't make sense to split up if somebody has.
Okay, what if I come up there and say, I wanna buy the whole shit, I wanna buy it all, the Tecumseh site, how much?
Well, we could probably decide on a price for the whole thing too. I mean, if somebody were.
Correct.
That's
interested in the entire
exactly, Becca, where I'm going with it.
Well, Fran, I guess this, what he has here is a suggestion. I mean, anything when a sale would happen would have to be approved by the council at that time. I mean, this is just the starting point.
Do math.
I wish I had the spreadsheet in front of me.
Oh.
Probably open up a few cells and it's probably right there.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you really want to do is, if you want to take this proposal, you want to put it in the contract format. And then you want to contract with Piperly, saying, we want these services, list the services, and we're willing to pay this amount of money for the services. And that can be a per lot, I mean, it can be a commission, it can be a flat fee. I mean, this is their proposal. You all can put together a proposal. So I can show you several proposals where you hire someone to market your property for you. And that's really what you're asking here. And the other thing you really can do is you can make the buyer pay those fees. And you easily make the buyer pay the fees. And you do that by lowering the purchase price. Because the ultimate goal is to get somebody to develop the property and to not spend a bunch of city money.
I mean, this is first presentation, this isn't,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
we're not deciding this right now, this is gonna come back to the table.
Right.
It's not on the agenda for
Right,
the
so we're
council.
not, this isn't even really an action item.
It's just information.
Informational.
Right.
Right.
It's good information.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I guess we need to decide how we want to proceed.
I think it's a good idea because there's a lack of advertising, and I know that was something I had suggested 2 years ago, that even the Economic Development Corporation, you pay a realtor to advertise because it gets it out there. It's something I think we need to do because nobody will buy it if they don't know it's there. And if they got the means, they're professionals, they advertise it, and it's the word of mouth and the people that they know. All it takes is the right person to know. I think this is the correct way to go.
Do we
Well-
even need to have an action to send the council to?
Well, I guess probably not right now. I mean, obviously, you must have contracts with other cities. I mean, rather than us paying the gentleman to my left a bunch of money, sorry, Steve. You know, you could, if you have something you can propose to us, and then we'll just have him review it. I guess that would be our next step here, if everybody's in agreement.
I can take one of those and make it specific to this. Yep.
Okay. All right. So I
Do
guess,
you want to see that on the next call? That for discussion, and then we could, to the,
yeah, I think if
Council?
you can be ready and what,
That-
we got one in
that's pretty quick.
3 weeks.
It's January
or
4th.
next month, or 4 weeks.
Should be plenty of time.
We'll keep in touch, and if you're okay with it, I'll keep in touch with you too, to see if you can get in
Yeah, we'll
time to get on the
determine
January.
which agenda, which
Yep. Okay.
maybe the whole agenda we get it to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Any other questions on this? All right. Item C, discussion, action, purchase of portable speed boards for the police department. Assuming Chief Fisher has,
Yes, you have in the Dropbox, an item that we've been looking at. We actually had a demonstration at the Public Works building, which Jason was there, and actually Fran showed up for it as well, which was perfect, to see the operation of it. And we've kind of been looking at different types to utilize, and this one actually kind of checks all the boxes. what we're looking at is it's a 24-inch by 60-inch wide portable speedboard that is mobile. It's solar based, and we've got a lot of speeding complaints throughout the city. And obviously, we have one person on, we can't hit every portion of the city. And what this will allow us to do is, like I said, utilize this for multiple purposes. This will have a message board to it. So the good part of a message board is that if we have a flooding issue, if we have a road that's going to be closed, we have an event, we can use it as a messaging board for traffic. We can use it for the picnic, for traffic flow, detours, whatever we need to use it for. So it can be used from all departments. Public Works would have access to use it whenever they needed to. Utilities could use it if they needed to, if they're going to be shutting down a road for a power line, whatever the case may be. We would utilize it obviously for speed, as well as any type of happy messages we want to let our citizens know, like Merry Christmas, what have you. One of the additions to this that we also have an opportunity to obtain with this is a traffic suite application. And what that allows us to do is gather traffic data. And that can be utilized for several different reasons and purposes. It could be utilized as far as, I believe a couple months ago, there was a question on how much traffic is on a specific road that we were looking at for any type of road project. What this will do is count cars. So part of the application portion of this, that is a separate purchase. It's a yearly subscription, but it is included, can be included with this package, is it allows us to monitor the speeds on each street. So every car that goes by, it records its speed. So we're able to do an actual analysis of how much speed is actually happening on that road. We can do charts, we can do, like I said, traffic data, how many cars are operating on that roadway during a specific time frame, whether it's a week, a month, whatever we set it to. Again, it's a solar panel. It does come with a battery as well, which very rarely gets used, and it can sit out for 30, 35, 40 days at one time. It would be stored at the Public Works garage, and I guess that's kind of what we're looking at. It would come out of the operating budget that we have left over for this year. Anything remaining out of that would be left for costs would come out of capital. So that's kind of what we're at, looking for your thoughts.
So it records the speed, but it doesn't like take a picture of the car at all.
No, that would be an increased expense. Now, there is a function on here that if a car hits it, if there's any type of direct impact, it takes a photograph of that vehicle's license plate. It does do that. So it's automatic. So there is an application that you get an alert to. So if somebody would hit it, baseball bat, vehicle, we immediately get alert that there was some type of impact with that unit. We also will get alerts based on whatever we decide to set up on the app. Whether it's we're monitoring that traffic data for a period of time. If somebody hits a speed of 80 miles an hour in a 25 zone, we could get an alert for that just so that we're aware of that speed. And from my understanding, there's many other options and abilities with that software. So I don't know everything that goes along with that. That's just kind of a brief overview. But this seems to be the best that we found that's out there that I think would be good for our city. So we have something. You know, there's only one in the county. Calumet County is the only one that has a radar trailer. And we actually had to request we had to beg in order to get it during our two projects that we had, our road projects. And they were graciously enough to allow us to have it, but they have one for the entire county. And so I think us being able to have our own, not have to depend on anybody else for this sort of thing, just makes more sense. And we do have two solar mini units that are in the city. One that we have been kind of alternating with different poles, but they only last 3 to 4 days. We have to charge those up every 3 to 4 days. In the one out by the high school, there's an electrical issue with that one. I don't know what's wrong with that. Utilities doesn't know what's wrong with it either. So this would be mobile, so we can put it anywhere we want, anytime we want. And this would get utilized on a daily basis.
Yeah, I didn't see a price.
Yeah, second page. So the cost for this is $18,240. Now, the mini ones, just the kind that we have are around between 4,000 and 5,000, just to give you an idea. Those last 3 days, these will last at least 30 to 40 days at a timeout, but this also gives you a lot more information and data, and they're mobile. We could get the smaller sign with no messaging, no alerts for around 14. So there isn't a huge cost difference if you look at the options and what we're able to utilize the size of this board for with utilities and public works. And just the messaging alone for the different events, whether it's a parade, whether it's a traffic issue, whatever the case may be, we can customize those messages to whatever we want to put them as. So Public Works has something they want to customize, they can customize whatever they want for traffic, whether it's a detour, whether it's going to be a project that's coming up on a road in a month. If Hickory's going to be shut down a month from now, they could put it out there and put a road closed on this such a date, from this date to this date, due to road project or what have you. So we can utilize it for those types of things as well.
I still don't see it.
Yeah.
The second page of which one?
I don't know, you put it in the junk box.
Maybe
Colin put it in the
maybe
drop
there's a
box.
secret.
Yeah, it seems, I just saw the two for sure about it.
May have gotten overlooked actually.
It's $18,240.10.
Yes.
Yes, Rich.
I think it's a good idea because I've been hearing a lot of complaints about speeders. I've witnessed people flying down and people say, why don't somebody sit there and watch? Well, we got 28 miles of roads and one officer. And I know recently somebody got injured or hit by a vehicle that there could be complacency, rushing or whatever, but if this stops an accident, I think it's $18,000 well spent because there's kids, elderly, people walking across the road. They even think they may be even doing the right thing in the crosswalk, high visibility on, and this one individual got hit. I think it makes people more aware of what they're doing. I think it's money well spent.
Steve?
I actually agree. I think it's a really good idea. The question we're getting into, and because we've been having budget talks, is this more, because we also got a problem with a small police office space, and and I'm just trying to figure out, because I do think it's effective, I think it worked. Is this, how important, and I guess, is it on your radar? Is it more important to try to start funneling money into expanding here? Or, some of these things are, I'm trying to gauge where this falls, because we have a lot of things we need to do. Did you have any feelings on that, I guess?
I mean, my number one concern is our space. I mean, that's since day one, that's been my number one concern. I mean, we are not necessarily compliant with the state with a lot of things, and I brought that to the board's attention on day one. We've given alternatives as far as expanding downstairs. I provided a quote for that when Casey was here, and even after Casey was here, to try to come up with a solution, using that entire open space downstairs, which is more cost effective than trying to expand and add on to this building, because I believe from my understanding that becomes now a bigger issue with compliance with OSHA and all these other issues and things that we aren't compliant in. Adding a garage out in the green space was another option, plus downstairs. I believe that total cost came to around $300. And that probably was high at that time. to take out as either a debt of some sort. I do know that when I first started, nobody could answer, there was 500,000 in the capital that got kicked year after year after year down. I don't know if that was just thrown in there by the previous administration, if that was something that the board was on the radar with prior to my tenure here. I assume that was already being earmarked for this, but from my understanding, it wasn't. So I guess, to answer your question, I think our space is obviously the number one concern because technology is lacking. I mean, to be honest, our evidence room is probably not safest, probably not the most secure. So, options have been presented. I know we've looked at other outside buildings. The old bank, I know, is one, but, we understand that we're in a lease and that just doesn't really work. The old dentist office, I believe, on Wisconsin, but the fire department was another that we were considering. But again, there's a quadruple cost to that compared to what we're proposing for just expanding downstairs, making that secure.
And kind of to follow up with that, and I understand there's an issue, like we'd say, oh, well, we gotta build that, so we'll say no to this, and then you end up not getting either one. I don't know if there's a way to say, hey, you guys save 40,000 on your budget, if there's a way we can funnel that into an account or something that gets set aside. I don't know how the accounting side of it works.
I don't think you can do that if it's in the operating.
But I'm just trying to figure out how do we, I'm trying to gauge what's more important. What do we need to prioritize? And at the same time, I want to say no to this. I do think it's a good idea. I don't want to say no to this, but then it's just no to both.
Right.
You know how that can work as well. So I don't know how to do this. I'm just trying to figure out what everybody else thinks.
So just anything left in the operating budget at the end of the year goes back into the general account.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Rich?
I think public safety is number one. If it prevents an accident, that's 18 grand well spent. It's cheaper than another officer on full time. It's mobile. It makes people more conscientious. I think it's a good idea. I know somebody that got ran over here recently.
I think that those are two different conversations, and I don't think that it's when a department asks for something that's within their operating budget, I don't think that you want to earmark and save money and not, it's like, that's like a day-to-day operation thing, and I think that the building thing is like a long-term project thing that's gonna be dealt with differently. Either we'll have to get a loan or whatever that's gonna be. That's like we need a different city hall building in general, or whatever, if we do. That's a different project, and so I don't think that you can put those in the same conversations. So I think if you think this is important and it's in your budget, then I always defer you, you're the expert, that's what I, so.
Now, at an earlier meeting, we also talked about Chuck's barriers coming out of the budget. So have you foregone your barriers to allow for a sign?
We talked about that. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So we had that discussion and we talked, it's kind of an either or at this point for what is left over in the operating budget, because that's probably not going to be able to fund both of the items. So in our discussion, we said we would take this, there's enough in the operating budget likely to cover the cost of the speed board. What we'll do is move the barriers to next year and take it out of their capital fund, which they have money in the capital fund to do that. And at this point, we'll probably do probably purchase half of the barriers at this point and see how many we need. And we've also had a discussion about possibly reaching out to our neighboring communities and doing some cost sharing with them, because they may have the opportunities to do it too. So they'll both can get funded. One will have to come out of the capital account, out of the operating. And in our discussions, this was a priority at this particular time. So we would do that out of the operating and then look at there. So it's not pushing this out. I mean, like I said, pushes it out a little bit, but not very far, and it doesn't push it out completely.
I think it's good for messaging to remind people some of the basic stuff that, I mean, driver's ed is different now from when a lot of us took it there. It's not required the same way it was for us. So just like stopping for a pedestrian crosswalk if someone's in the vicinity, lots of people don't, and especially with kids crossing next to school. You could put that on a message board and every single driver on on that, just to see, if we have to stop for the question. I mean, just those things, I think that'll pay for itself with safety.
Oh, and the other thing is it sends a subliminal message too. People see it on Wisconsin and it sends a signal to them that, hey, they might be watching a little closer in the city. I better watch it myself. It's a strong.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Fran.
I just think it's a good idea. I like the idea that it's versatile. Our clubs can use it, Kiwanis Chamber, Fire Department, whatever it means. And I saw it personally down at the Public Works Department. I just think it's a hell of a good idea. And I'm in favor of that. I like it a hell of a lot more than those barricades that we spent 15 grand on, which I think was absolutely stupid.
We haven't done that
I'll make a
yet,
motion
Fran.
that we purchase,
We
I'll make a
haven't,
motion that we purchase a portable speed board and the large one for the 18,200, whatever la-di-da figure it was.
motion made by Fran.
Second.
To move to council.
I have one question though. You said one of them that we have, one of the speed boards we have right now, is it working? Or we have,
My comment for the high school is, that is hardwired in. I don't know how.
I didn't even know it existed till he put it out.
Yeah, I have no idea how old any of these are. They were here, Chuck was not sure how old they are. There's no paperwork anywhere on them.
is it something that we can, we have this piece of equipment that's just sitting there doing nothing. Is there a way we can fix it? At least get it-
It's
I don't have a problem
on-
with this presentation, but if we got a piece of equipment that's sitting there doing nothing, and it's just a dead weight, what do we gotta do to get it fixed?
I don't know, they looked at it, you said utilities.
Yeah, I believe it's dead. I
It's on a
believe
power pole, it's on a utilities pole.
It's on utilities pole.
On a pole?
Yeah,
Yeah, on the pole.
it's.
I didn't even know it existed, like I
hardwired into
said.
the pole, or,
7 years.
yeah,
Right.
That one just.
or however it
that
gets
one just
wired
on your
in.
speed, right?
That's just, yeah.
I
We
think-
do have one on Wisconsin right now. We have, so when they bought the one speed board, they have brackets. And I think 3 or 4 around the city, they're on different poles.
Right.
And then basically when it dies, because they're not solar, they're on battery, and they last 3-4 days, maybe 5. Then they have to get removed, brought into the PD, they have to be charged for a day or 2, and then we have to go out and we put them back on a pole. They're not real. He's the only one that can do it because they're pretty high up, unless you want to bring a ladder out. So that makes it a little challenging for us to be able to keep.
They're outdated. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not even solar.
Right, that was just.
Well, I mean, if we have them, we should
have 'em, I don't know why
continue
we
to
did
use
the
them, but this is
question
just
if we can
another,
fix it, we should
Yeah.
fix it if we
another
can.
Look into
asset
getting
that we
it.
have.
Look and see what it ain't gonna cost.
Yeah, the one in Wisconsin, we'll continue to use that one. The other one on Plymouth, we're just trying to figure out what we're gonna be able to do with that.
We can take it down, see if it needs to be refurbished or, and someone take a look at it. I don't think it probably costs much to look at.
Yeah, but it's not the and the utilities bidder, I mean,
Yeah, and because it's hardwired and utilities, I'll have to remove it because, that's electric, all of that stuff.
Maybe you can take it back to, or call the manufacturer, see if they can just refurbish it or go through it. Probably wouldn't cost much. Maybe get an estimate on it. Probably wouldn't hurt to request something like that,
They don't
right?
have records on. They don't-
Chuck said it's never before he was even here.
We've owned these since 2012 when I was hired full-time.
There should be some identification on it. Usually there's a URL, there's some ID
I
on
think it
it.
was pre-internet. That's the impression I get.
Underwriters Laboratory,
Probably not a QR code.
not a QR, but Underwriters
We have
probably
just-
has a little
Do we have
stamp
just-
on it.
just a motion?
So is there a motion?
Yeah, we have
Second?
a motion by Fran and a second by Rich. So any other discussion? And the motion is to move this to council to purchase it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion action clarification on winter parking policy.
My favorite time of year. So I've had a couple council members, give me their different renditions of what winter parking is, and I want to make sure from the police department standpoint that the, what the clarification is, if it's consistent with what I'm understanding what the clarification is. So, since I've been here, they've changed it. It's, when I first came, the previous mayor changed it to something that was impossible to enforce. And then we came back and we shortened it, and we shortened it by 2 months, and we lowered the fine amount. And from my understanding, based on looking at the policy, is that rain or shine, snow or not, 50 or 60 degrees, we are enforcing winter parking from December 1st to March 1st. And I just want clarification that that's what the council wants, because I've been told different by several people, and I want to make sure that when the citizens come out yelling, which they've already started doing, that we give them proper notification on what it actually is. Now, we did suspend it for this upcoming holiday starting on the 23rd. So we are suspending it. It's already been being put out on Facebook for the public. It's going to be through the 2nd. But I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page for parking, because parking is probably the biggest issue with police departments and communities, just simply because a lot of people either don't have a place to park, or it's just something that I like to complain about. So I've seen it everywhere I've gone. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah. Becca?
Is the purpose of winter parking so that plows can get through?
Yes.
Okay. So if there isn't any snow, it does seem a bit draconian. It seems like a waste of everyone's time and resources to even have to be policing that. There's not gonna be plows going through and there's not snow. Most of the time, you know, when there's gonna be a significant snow event, there's like you get a foot of snow with no warning. So, I mean, I feel like it's something that we should talk about, especially with winters that have been trending warmer and there has been less snow. I mean, yes, we have events, but we don't have, typically, we haven't had like 8 feet of snow for the entire winter, like at one time, you know, in our lives. So if the purpose of winter parking is to allow for plows to be going through and we don't have snow and it's 50 and 60 degrees in December, it seems like we have to maybe adjust accordingly. I don't think we should have nothing, but I feel like it should have matched reality and not match what it once was, when you had feet and feet of snow all winter and you needed it clear.
You have a good point, but who makes that call and by what criteria?
That's what we have to decide, but I think we could probably put our heads together and figure something out where you're not having resources being used to put tickets on cars when it's 60 degrees just because of the date on the calendar, and not actually what is represented on the ground.
I think at the same time, they're gonna give anybody that you get 3 inches of snow, well, how did I know they were gonna plow with 3 inches of snow? You know, then everybody's gonna be already.
Or when they call it dusting.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
get a dusting, you want to get it off so it doesn't freeze, right?
If you allow a half inch, some guy's gonna take an inch, and if you allow an inch, some guy's gonna take 2, and.
Rich?
I think this was discussed a little bit, the level of complacency. All of a sudden, people start some people have 4 cars parked out front, and then all of a sudden they think, oh, no big deal, and then all of a sudden we get hammered and they don't move, and it's a big nightmare for everybody. It's not saying you can't, because you can call in, or what's your guys' take?
Well, that was my question. Can the citizens still call in if,
Yes, the citizens can call dispatch after hours, and they let us know, or let the MW officer know. They can call the PD during the day. That's never changed. I think one of our concerns is that it starts snowing at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Some people, not saying me, some people go to bed at 8 or 8:30 because they get up early, and it starts snowing at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we start enforcing at 2 a.m. and it wasn't snowing beforehand, or let's say it wasn't in the forecast, or it was just flurries, and we get 3 inches. Now we're giving everybody $25 tickets, and now I'm getting phone calls. And I guess that's why winter parking is always an issue with every municipality, because you want to do right by the citizens, but on the other hand, you have to have some type of structure. You have to have,
Well, we have a structure, it's set in stone. What is it, December 1st to
March
March
1st? It used to be longer.
yes.
As
we
a
shortened
city,
it
as a
to
city,
months.
we shortened it 2 months. So we're, as a city, I mean, we are trying to help the situation, but without a structure, then it's just.
Yeah, if you don't, oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
Steve.
But you
had
could
his hand
also,
up.
you could have the same argument from March 1st, because we all know it snows past March 1st, and you could have that same complaint saying, well, we have a whole bunch of snow, but the people are still going to park on the street. March 2nd, everybody's going to park on the street, and you're going to have 10 inches of snow, and you could have that same conversation.
But then they don't get a ticket after March 1st anymore, right?
Right, but that doesn't help us out.
Around it, right.
It doesn't
We know
help
that
us out,
going in.
though.
The year that it was taken away was awful. Mark was so mad. This north side, I didn't see it. I plow a third of the city. I did the southeast, didn't see it as bad. Mark hated it over. He had streets he couldn't get through. Both sides of the streets. That was the year that it was flexible when we know the mayor wanted to adjust that. We tried it that one year and it was awful. Because then it was, well, people will know. Well, no, they don't. And then they wanted to do like a meter call, like somebody could announce it'll be a snow event. Well, who's gonna make that call?
I'm asking for it.
Steve?
I
I'm
understand. I
not
don't like
saying
it
we should
either.
have no structure, but I'm saying I can understand why people get
It's
irritated.
55 degrees outside.
The issue we have
Steve
is we
has
have
the
an
floor.
ordinance that's written, and it says there's no parking from these dates, and I think it spells out the time too, right? Isn't it like 1 AM to 2 to 6 AM? So, and that's what it is. So if we're gonna change it, we really should change the ordinance. Otherwise, and that's what caused the confusion. I think it's the 1 year we didn't change the ordinance. We just started doing stuff on Facebook and so we got a clear ordinance for it, and everybody's gone through a lot of the reasons why it's constant because of, we've gone through that, but really it's pointless right now because we've got the ordinance and we should change the ordinance if we want to do something different. Otherwise, it should be no parking according to the ordinance.
Right, I agree.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Frank.
I totally agree. I think we just leave it the way it is. No one can predict when we're gonna get snow. I mean, it could be, the 5th of December, whatever it is. But just to go ahead and just start changing these ordinances, I don't believe we should be doing that. We'll just end up with a bottleneck. I mean, the ordinance is the ordinance. It's December to March 1st, so be it. That's it. That's the ordinance. And, prosecute or give the citations out accordingly. So I'm in favor of just leaving it the way it is, December to March.
Okay. So I don't think there's any action on it. We had the discussion, it is the ordinance, so I think if everybody's in agreement with that, there's no action required.
I mean, was there something that you wanted?
That's what he wanted.
I just want to make sure the entire board is on board with that, so that when the repercussions come back,
I don't have the
which they
date for
always
that
do,
April meeting that we're moving to
the
the.
council voted, this is what the
Yeah,
council
I
voted.
just want to know that
This is then up
in April. It's the Tuesday, but I don't know what the date
It's
is.
a council decision. And which is the way it should be. And we're following ordinance. But I wanted to bring this up because like I said, I got a couple different versions of two different ordinance. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was on point with it, on the same page, that's all.
It'd be held 16th, be held the 16th.
Are there any municipalities that have figured it out?
No,
I will tell you, this is one of the most lax ordinances I've seen. Most of them, it's November 15th through April 15th.
Yeah.
And they enforce it. I'll tell you, in college towns, they really enforce it. They bring the records up too. The other thing you do have in your ordinance is you do have the ability to declare a snow emergency. So after March 1st, you can declare a snow emergency and you can put notices out that would require people to move their vehicles. You have that in your ordinance.
So who does a snow emergency? Is that the public works director, the mayor, or the city administrator?
City council is what it says.
So how does that work at 3 AM or 11 PM?
Yeah, special
Be there.
You want to see me in my bunny slippers, say that. okay?
Teams or Zoom, I think it's called.
I mean, it's what your ordinance says. It says the city council declares the emergency.
So the council can delegate that then as well.
It can, but right now it says the council. I brought it up while we were talking.
Jason's always up at that time.
John's up at every day, trust me. He's at 8 o'clock going to bed.
Jason, maybe 1 inch of snow would be an emergency.
All right.
All right, so we have that option. I guess we've got an answer to that question.
I think the only thing I would add is, I'm in agreement with you though, for like that holiday season.
Just that.
Because they're predicting 50-degree weather for Sunday.
And you
Or
do have in your
Christmas.
ordinance that the police department may give permission. It's right in your ordinance.
Green Bay goes by snow emergencies only.
Yeah, your major cities do, your Milwaukee's, your Madison's, because they have so many people parking.
West Dallas, you gotta call it in, no matter what, if you're in the road.
Okay. Item E, April 24th, committee of the whole and council dates.
This is just a notification that per state statute, we have to have that April common council on the 16th versus 17th. So it'll be on Tuesday versus Wednesday in April.
And that's always the organizational meeting, always has to be that Tuesday.
We just had to move that to council to vote on?
No.
Oh, that was just.
It was just a notification, right?
Right, right.
Okay. Item F, discussion action, funding a fire department study.
This came from the PFC. The PFC recommended that they were requesting council to fund a fire department study with the resignation of Chief Mayor and the interim chief in place. Their goal was to get someone to come in and do a study, look at policies, procedures, and things like that, and get the next chief set up positively moving forward. So that was the goal of PFC. I don't know if PFC wants to chime in on that, or
Mr. Chairman?
Herbie Schreiner is going to speak first. Fran?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Herbie Schreiner, president of PSC. Yeah, we had done exit interviews of the people that had left the department. And after the closed session, we can't discuss those things. We felt that bringing a consultant in and really finding out what our problems are in the department. I don't know if you realize how many people have left the department. Do we know how many left?
Lots.
Lots. Yeah, we have lost 7, 8, and we're losing one tomorrow, which is our secretary treasurer, captain of the department. He's leaving tomorrow. We lost our first assistant chief, 31 years, Corey Rotz, 19 years, Brian Burton, 22 years, Scott Schmitz, 24 years, Heath Bowen, 15 years, Curtis Schmitz, 15 years, Nate Keller, 7, Chad Hubbuck, 15 years. So we've lost about 175 years of experience in the department. So that gives me a red flag. Any questions?
Yeah, I guess the proposal that you have summarizes what you want to do, and I understand that. Now, when you get this information, how are you going to use it, and when are you going to use it?
Well, a consulting meeting?
Yeah. So we pick a you know.
We would that would work for the new chief or interim chief to get some policies, because we don't have no policies.
But does the interim chief have the ability to change policy?
Well,
Or is
there are
that-
none. So he would have to make some policies and bring them to the council here.
Policies have never been run through the council before. We do have policies. We're working with Lexipol. I know because I'm personally, me and Keith we're the ones doing them.
How about attendance?
We're working on that one too. That kind of got put in the back burner when Casey left because she started that.
Yeah. How about training?
We have a training policy.
And so those are the big questions of attendance and training. We've asked for policies for 2 years, 2.5 years, just to see them, and we have seen nothing.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to this. How are we, if we're gonna spend this money, how are we gonna use that information to benefit the fire department?
Exactly.
I mean, if we spend the money and we train the interim chief and and the PFC, I believe, is not gonna appoint a chief officially for 6 months. Does it make sense to train a chief that we don't know 100% sure that that's going to be the chief? Or do we take the information that we get from this consultant and hold it until you guys appoint a new chief? Because I think that's the best spent on our dollars.
That's all, the reason we come here is because we keep losing members. I mean, you don't have a secretary treasurer in your department.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand,
But I mean,
you know,
we
if
need to get guidelines. Like I said, there's no rules on attendance. They come and go as they please.
I guess
You
I,
need some rules.
I don't,
You have no meetings. The department has no meetings with its members.
Kirby, I think, with all due respect, if we have an assistant chief that has taken that role, he was put in that position already, I think we need to working on it internally and let him at least get a shot to get he got a 6-month term. And from what I hear.
He does not have a 6-month term,
What is the term?
till the chief's appointed.
Okay, well, until the chief's appointed. So I think we should come up with at least a term limit for him, if we can give him 6 months to see if something can turn around. Instead of, we've been down this road before with the police consolidation.
We've
right?
never
We've been on that.
lost.
We hired a surveyor to come in and reassess the police department.
That was a whole different situation.
I know it. It's the same thing.
No, it's-
And what I regret from that was we didn't work on it internally before we went out and spent the taxpayer dollars. I think we need to at least give the assistant chief the opportunity, and if PFC has to come up with a term limit to see progress within the department, and I think that needs to be the route to go.
that was I was going to say, it seems like you're in a position of rebuilding.
Right.
And it's not the same.
Are we done losing members?
Well, I think that's yet to be seen, but if,
So how far do we go? I
I
mean,
think
we're at a
that-
sad point right now. Your chapter 4 reads 22 members. You don't even have 22 members anymore. You've got 24, 5, and 4 or 5 of those are on probation. So you can't count probation members as active members.
but the
So you're
people-
below the
so
22 mark right now.
I feel like you've already done some data collection of why you did exit interviews, right? So
We did exit interviews of
Okay.
7 people.
So you got data from 7 people as to why they left. I think that to hire a consultant to pay that kind of money to a third party that's gonna have to also start from scratch, it's like I think that there's adults in the room that can figure it out, like, or at least have the opportunity to figure it out without, if the chief is resigning, that's an opportunity then to rebuild and decide, figure out what, you know, because it's confidential, so we don't know what those exit interviews told you, but you do, and your commission does. So why do we have to put effort into a third-party consultant to also then do that again?
That's why we would like some outside eyes to come in and look at both sides of this picture. Because we're looking at one side of the picture right now. And we're saying it's not working.
Yeah, right.
How many years of experience have you had with the fire department, Kirby?
I had 30 years in the department myself personally.
Yep.
We've never had a problem. 30 years I wasn't in the department, we never had a problem.
What was your role in the
I
department?
was first assistant chief. We never had a problem. We never had no retirees, never had a fall like this.
So couldn't that, I'm trying to figure out the role of what everyone, you can have closed sessions and you can get that data. Could the commission not determine determine what you see that the issues are and then bring that to us, or if you
It's
guys.
closed session, we can't do that. That's where our hands are tied. We know what the issues are.
So I do think procedurally, because we're kind of splitting hairs here, because he has information that he can't share with you. You need the information to try to make a decision on what you're doing, what you want to do with this. I believe that, and Attorney Sorensen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that if you could table this, PFC president could request a closed session with the council and share more information in closed session of what they learned in those exit interviews, not naming people or things, but giving trends and things like that. They probably don't want to have out in open session right now.
And recommendations, right? I mean,
And recommendations, yeah. So that procedurally, that you could do that procedurally, correct?
Yes. As long as you don't violate the personal comments that you promised those people that you wouldn't share. You can certainly take the genesis of, these are the issues, these are the 12 issues, these are the 2 issues, whatever it might be. Right. And then you as a council can talk about that once you have the information, is whether or not you see a purpose in hiring a consultant or going for 6 months or whatever you want to do. Remember, the council's role is to fund the department, not run the department. PFC's job is to run the department.
The only thing I was gonna say is just recruitment retention is a major problem across the whole nation right now. Full-time and volunteer. There's not as many volunteers out there anymore. And I'm seeing it at work too. I mean, I think we're 8 short right now. So I mean, that's full-time departments across the board too. So just something to think about too.
I realize
Okay.
that. And we lost a lot of good men, which are, 2 of them are on the Keel department right now.
They live in Keel District.
They were they were just as close in the whole senior in their district. We got that 15-mile radius. So they're in our district.
I'm just saying one of them moved into the city of Keel. So.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I guess the request that we have from the PFC is to get a quote for a consultant.
Right.
Not to hire one, but to get a quote. So what we could do is move forward, put it out for quotes. It says here deadline is January 15th. We have a meeting on the 17th. Then we could make a decision. I mean, is this a $2,000 project or is it a $20,000 project? Until we get some information, we don't know. So even if we get the quote, doesn't mean we're going to sign the contract and move with it. But at least we have some.
Session at that meeting, so that we could get some more information.
I
too, so
guess that's.
Yeah, you could have an open meeting or a closed session with them.
At that same meeting, and then have the proposal, if somebody gives one, and then we could have all the information to make.
Yeah, remember the purpose would be to discuss the hiring and firing. And it's not only the hiring and firing of officers, but also the hiring and firing of potential future chiefs. I mean, you gotta keep within the closed meeting criterion. You really can't address this issue in closed session.
That'd be open.
No, I meant the same meeting though, like at that council meeting, have a closed session about the personnel issues. And then at that meeting, back in open session, have if there's a proposal for a consultant.
Sure.
And then we'd have the whole picture of what we're kind of looking at.
Or where else do you want to go? You don't have to even go with a consultant. You could do it with an internal study. You could do a lot of things.
So,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, right.
I guess we don't know, as what I hear here now, we don't know what kind of a cost we're looking at to have a consultant come in and share with us. We
Correct.
don't know the cost.
This is the request for proposal.
Okay. And I guess I have an issue with that. Consultant comes in and tells our fire department as far as budgeting, personnel, training, equipment, facilities, and general operations. My personal opinion is I think we've got the finest equipment along with the finest fire bin in the state. And I guess To have a consultant come in, this isn't gonna be cheap, I'm telling you right now.
Depends
And,
upon
I
what,
think it should come from the top. I think once we get a new chief, I think that he should be the one that implements, if he sees something going on in the fire department, whether it's morale or whatever it may be, that's his position to step in and say, hey, how can we correct this? I don't think we need to have a consultant come in and tell us how to run our fire department. I'm not in favor of it.
Rich,
So what is your biggest concern and why do you feel a consultant is needed then, Herbie?
Well, I think the consultant, like I say, it's outside eyes. He can come in and see the operation of the department and make direction, getting it back to the way we used to operate as a unit, not as a group's division in the department. We need to get that into one, which now you have division.
But also you could be, when you're interviewing potential chiefs, I mean, that's a big part of the interview process, is if you're gonna be hiring a new person, hiring someone on the criteria of what you're looking for in that job. I mean, I think that the reason I'm questioning having a consultant come in is that you're kind of already back to bare bones here, and you're rebuilding. That's a time, I just don't see how, I mean, but I think we need more information.
So, I mean,
But
I'll just interject quickly. So the idea behind the consultant was to come in for the consultant to look on policy and procedures. Not only do they have policy and procedures, but are they NFPA compliant, the National Fire Association compliant? Are the attendance policies where they should be? Is there proper training? Have they received the proper training in fireground operations, incident command, everything else? Where are their training gaps and deficiencies and doing in there? So the discussion was then that the consultant defines this, works on the recommendations that were made out of PFC for the previous chief to work, or current chief right now, to work with me on getting, which was a training matrix, getting the policies done and doing an attendance policy. So the intent of the PFC, if sitting in a meeting, was to get those things aligned so that those things are in order for when the new chief comes in, that he can hit the ground running and not have to worry about building this, but then can work on building those, getting those strengths built, getting that divide separated, or not separated, getting rid of the divide and moving forward. So that's what it was. Where are they at? Where are they at in training? Because they were getting, the PFC, I don't want to speak for them, but they're getting conflicting reports. And no, they can't tell you which is right or wrong because they're not in there doing it. So they're saying some are saying the policies and procedures are up to date. Some are saying they're not. Some are saying the training is good. Some are training it's not. Nobody knows where the middle is right now, but to define those three things in particular, plus anything else that they find going forward, is what the discussion was at PFC.
right, I think the most important part of a consultant is to get those guidelines, but then coach the new chief. That the chief has someone to go to ask the questions from an outside source. I mean, I've had good consultants and I have ones that have been terrible. But if it's terrible, you fire them. So I look at this as being an opportunity for the new chief, whoever he or she is, to have a coach to go to rebuild this.
But don't we have other chiefs in this area that we could be a consultant of everybody? I mean, you guys are chiefs, you guys talk to other chiefs, they're kind of consulting each other. But the PFC has a set of guidelines that you guys need them to require. Have they been given these guidelines? Like, what are you asking from them?
We used
Do you
to
have a set of them that they're not giving to you?
We used to have a constitution and bylaws of the fire department for well over 100 years. Approximately in October 2019, after that, when the city chapter 4 was rewritten, the constitution and bylaws of the fire department disappeared.
So I guess, what policies?
They were all in there.
Yeah, but what policies don't you have? Are you looking for policies that?
We don't have a policy on attendance.
Okay, so it's been addressed, so it needs to be addressed again. That's
It's
one.
been addressed more than that.
Okay. Maybe the new chief can address it now. Is that a problem? Herbie, I'm trying to work it internally before we go external with all these problems that,
It's been,
If it's
it's
only
been
a
asked to
list
be worked out. We as a PSC been working at this for the last 2-3 years. And it's got to the point where we're losing. In this last year, we lost 9 men. Where do we go now? I give up.
Well, I guess that's sort of my question. Again, we're not gonna get specific details, and I understand that. You're saying that you're getting conflicting stories, but you have 20 people that left and you got feedback. I would think that you could see a trend, and if you see it,
Well, we know what the truth is.
okay, so if you know what the issue is, then what prevents you from
It's
dealing?
in closed session, but we can't take it on butts.
Norm,
I don't mean just for you to say it right now, but I'm saying if you've identified the issue, what's preventing you from dealing with it? What's preventing you from handling it?
I don't understand. We know what the issues are. We're kind of addressing, like we said, attendance and training. And there's no SOPs, standard operating procedures. There are none. Well, I know you disagree with me, Eric.
I'm one that worked on it for the last 2 years. It takes time to go through all that information, Herbie.
Simple.
Simple.
Simple attendance. Explain to me. All the departments.
Yeah, I
around
think
here
we're-
have-
I don't want to argue. Can I
Right,
just
and I
ask
guess-
one point?
let's go
My
back
question-
to, are we gonna hire a consult, are we gonna go out for a quote for a consultant or not? Bob,
It doesn't cost us anything to get a quote. At the same time, who's ever giving us this bid can tell us what they can and cannot do for us. At that point, we can decide if that's gonna be helpful or not. And if not, then we can try to do something internally.
Right.
If it's not premature, I would make a motion to take it on to the board, to the council.
I think you should do both. Get the quote and try to work on it internally.
Well, I think we will work on it internally.
Well,
do we have a
That I'm
second?
not worried about.
Shouldn't-
But he-
That's why-
I'm
that's
not-
what I am worried
I'm not
about.
here to set the rules.
because we're not, we're spreading it out to somebody else.
That's Bob's motion. You're going with Bob's motion.
Bob has the motion, Steve has a second,
To pursue a
to
quote.
pursue a quote. To be completed by the 15th and reviewed on the 17th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed.
So we have 3 against.
No, who was that? I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Fran, Eric, and Brad.
Okay.
Okay. Bids for engineering services for Jordan Avenue, LRIP construction project.
We received 2 bids for the engineering services for that project. They were $500 apart. Robert E. Lee came in at $6,500 and Excel came in at $7,000. So it's just a matter of recommending to the council which bid you want to approve.
But didn't Robert E. Lee have additional fees? I mean, there was, one of them was all inclusive, and but Robert E. Lee had a daily travel fee or something that would exceed the other bid.
That is correct.
Yes. The other.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The other thing I'm gonna say is I know I brought Excel into the equation and they're aggressive. They work with the city. They're growing. Sometimes it isn't always about the cheapest bid, but if they're showing, hey, this is it, you know, hidden cost. I think they're stand up.
Staking.
And the other thing is having a good working relationship with an engineer. They're the ones that know about all these grants and stuff, and I'm working on relationships to further other grants for the city. I know we used to appoint an engineer, kind of got changed, but all I'm asking is, hey, these guys are good, they're aggressive, they're on stuff, and you have to work with an engineer for grants. I mean, you penny pinch a little here and there, they may not be as friendly to start. And I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying sometimes you get what you pay for. And overall, they beat out the other engineers on some other projects on bids. But you need to have a good working relationship with an engineer, so they'll get you grants they know what's on the pipe.
Well, we're not talking about grants, we're talking about
About the
projects, so
project.
let's stay on point. So I guess the other thing was, one was for $7,000, and the other one is for $6,500 plus $1,750, so why are you shaking your head, Jason?
No, that's for staking. If you want the engineers to come out and stake it.
Okay.
That's why it says an estimated cost, because they're always gonna throw that in there. That's not, we don't need that. Like when we get X, it has to be staked because we're putting in new curb and gutter, the grades. This is all matching existing. We're not touching any curb and gutters. All the ramps and the catch basins are done by the city. So we're not gonna have them staked.
Okay.
We're doing it ourselves. That's internal. So I wouldn't worry about that. That would
Okay.
get added.
Thanks for clarifying that.
I was kind of nervous about it too when I read it. I'm like, whoa, what's this? But no, we would not want to stake it. But we need to have one of the two for sure, because it needs an engineer report, because it is LRIP funded. So then we have to do an engineer report, which was included in that cost, which those costs are really reasonable. Both of them are.
I moved to approve Excel Engineering bid.
We have a motion by
I'll
Rich,
second it.
second by Fran. Any discussion?
Move to council to approve.
Yeah, to move the council. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, a quick question. We worked with Excel, or you worked with both yet?
No, probably we've been way before my time, probably before any of our time, probably before Dean's time. They've always had a
Careful.
city contract. I'm just being honest. And so I wanted this time to get a price, you know, considering now we can go after the prices.
Okay.
Because they're not appointed anymore. It's on the thing, but it's the date's like a year ago, so it was where I didn't go out. That's why I went out and got some prices.
They had, wasn't Excel, they came here once, didn't they?
Rich
Yeah.
brought it.
They were here in person. Yeah.
Several times.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. This meeting is adjourned.
So we're working with the higher ones? Confirmed?
But no, it's recommended to the council. Council still has to vote.
Hey, guess what? We're going right to council. Feels like we should be done.
Rich, you want to forego the meeting?
What's that? Okay, I'd like to call the December 20th, 2023 Common Council meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call's been taken. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Gene, Becca, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of the previous common council meeting minutes, November 15th, 2023. Steve, Norm, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing, annexing State Highway 3257 right of way. Presiding officer call the meeting to order. So I guess I'm calling the meeting to order.
Public hearing to order.
The public hearing to order. Announcement that the notice of the hearing was published as required by law. Comments from the public on the proposed right-of-way annexation. Hearing none.
Yes, 3 times.
You got 3 times.
Oh, any public comments? Twice. Any public comments? 3.
Hearing none.
Hearing none. Meeting adjourned.
Public hearings adjourned.
Public hearing is adjourned. Thank you. Citizens input, any? None. Approval of the consent agenda,
We want to do the reports of the police
reports.
department. Yep.
Okay,
I had a correction for the consent agenda for the plan commission. I was there and I wasn't on the top. I was in attendance to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were,
I was there, but I'm not on it.
got it. I will make the correction.
I critiqued it pretty good.
Okay. So then we will not approve that.
not
I
approved.
made motions, but I'm actually not. Was there.
Okay, financials,
I just also noticed that in the Dropbox, the prior minutes is the committee of the whole, not council agenda.
ooh,
After it was voted on. I just think the wrong file maybe was dropped in there.
committee of the whole minutes here. Let's see that.
I can't pull it up.
Well, now that comes into a,
So Becca, you're saying that you were not distributed the minutes of the November 15th common council meeting.
Correct.
You were distributed the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting. So then there should be a motion to withdraw the approval of the minutes in that they were not distributed.
So moved.
Steve,
Second.
Gene, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Thank you, Attorney Sorensen.
I have some words here. And then just to help you out, is in the consent agenda, my understanding is you're approving all of number 1, 2, and 3. It's just the reports you're gonna take separate, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So approval of the consent to 1, 2, and 3. Becca. Bob, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Report from the department heads, police department.
I'll make this as short as I can. From November 6th to December 20th, there were 383 incidences for that time period. Just a couple notable trainings that I want to mention. Captain Schrader spent the last 4 months going through a prestigious FBI Leadership Leadership Institute training program. He just completed it and received his certificate or certification completing that trilogy. That included supervisor leadership, command leadership, and executive leadership institute courses. So not many officers get to attend that. So we were pretty fortunate that he was able to go to that. So he did complete that. He also completed a 3-day less lethal instructor training, being one of, I think he's the only instructor in our county right now. We converted one of our shotguns into a beanbag type round. It's another less lethal option that we have in order to disarm a subject if we have our public is at risk or one of our officers at risk. So the department will be receiving training in the next month or 2 with that. 2 notable incidences that we had on November 27th. We responded to 1327 Wisconsin Ave for a possible stabbing at a residence. Upon arrival and making contact with an uncooperative male, we did force entry into the residence, taking 3 subjects in custody. Upon in residence, we wrote a search warrant, located narcotics, found fentanyl, methamphetamine, and so forth. And 1 subject went to jail. 2 others were released, one including one was a juvenile. Nobody was stabbed, thank God. The second was on December 8th. As the mayor already pointed out, we had an accident on Mason at Jordan. Car versus 2 pedestrians. One of the pedestrians had critical severe injuries, non-life-threatening. He was in the hospital for I think over a week. And his wife was also injured. The driver was cited with multiple traffic violations. So those are the 2 main incidences I wanted to point out today.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Are we through the overtime period, I guess? Thinking of you and Captain.
End of the month, yep. Yep.
That's looking good.
Yes, yes. Joe should be on his own 4th. 4th of January.
Any other questions? Municipal court,
For October and November, we had a total of 11 juveniles in the month of October and 27 adults. That included initial appearance and pre-trials with the city attorney. And then in November, we had 2 juveniles and 38 adults, again, for initials and pre-trials. We did have a trial scheduled as well, and that individual failed to show up, and so they were found guilty by default for not showing up for that particular trial. That's all I have.
any questions? Hearing none. Building inspector, none.
Yep.
Library report.
None.
Committee of the whole, November 15th.
Those are, the next series of 4 are just minutes, and there should be a motion to approve those minutes,
Except for H, which is we need to amend.
except for the planning commission has to
Yep.
be amended.
Okay, looking for that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda 4, with, planning commission.
Second.
Brad, Fran, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to new business. What's it? Oh, go ahead.
You
Sorry.
guys want my update or not?
Oh.
Here? No, none of these are on.
Oh,
I can skip it.
do we have it in? Wasn't listed. So I guess technically if it wasn't listed,
Fine, I will not be here the 4th, so I'm a commissioner for the sewer district, so I'll be missing that one too. So.
okay, sorry about that.
If he leaves his stuff, could like call and read it to us or something?
I have it in here and I'll just put it back in the Dropbox for this month so you can review it.
Okay. New business. Action.
Can I,
Go ahead.
I can take back my motion for approving consent agenda number 4, couldn't I? To alter it?
No, you can't.
It's not advertised.
You could have objected to the agenda when we first started and the agenda was approved to say we need to add these items, but you already approved the agenda and you voted unanimously on the agenda. But any report can be given next month or the month after. There are no action items anybody has.
It's a good learning experience here. Sorry, we didn't.
Well, it's just nothing to talk about. Whatever, it's good.
All right. New business. Action will be taken on these items unless indicated that they are discussion or first presentation items. Action. Ordinance 675. Ordinance annexing right of way on Highway 3257.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 675.
Eric,
I'll second that.
Norm. Discussion. All those in favor.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call for it. Mayor.
Aye.
Schmetzler.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Propson.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Abrams.
Aye.
Wolfle.
Ayes have it. Action, resolution 1547, a resolution to adopt the 2024 schedule of fees.
I have a comment on just the one.
We have to move a motion for discussion.
I'll make a motion for resolution 1547.
Eric, Gene, discussion. Go ahead, Norm.
The only one I really had was some of these, when was the last time some of these were actually updated for pricing wise? Cause I see like the food vending's only like $15 for the year, the mobile one. You know, you're kind of seeing more and more of that coming around. Like in Keely, you're always seeing it at the Ace Hardware and stuff. I'm just thinking like $15 a year is nothing.
So I would like to say that it used to be, I think, $200 some, and nobody's going to come to the city for $200 because it's a crapshoot to see once if they're going to even get business. And I think we need to keep it reasonable. Otherwise, you're going to people aren't going to come. And a person that had a vending service said that hey, you need to keep it lower so that way you attract them. I know some of these, they require $1,500 up front, $1,000 to go do a venue because it costs them money.
I mean, I just see it as, some people can take quite a bit of advantage of that, knowing they might have 2 or 3 mobile units, and they're only getting charged at one fee, I'm assuming, for all 3 because it's under the same name, right?
I think it's a service to the city and the citizens. If there's a demand, people will buy from it. I wouldn't want to discourage anybody.
That's no
Any
different
other
than a
discussion?
bar license, though, in all reality. They're paying bigger fees,
Just help you out a little bit. The purpose of licensing is to capture the fees it costs the city. So it's not to encourage or discourage, but it's to say, how much does it cost the city to process a license and to then enforce the license? That's where your difference between your food vendor and your bar is. Bars take, and I have to say this, a lot of police time. It takes a lot of community time, where food vendors generally don't take a whole lot of. That's why you see a differential in some of those fees. That's when, if you ever get a fee challenge, the challenge is, does it really cost that much to do that? I mean, I've seen parade fees that have been $600-700, and it's like, how are you going to justify that? Well, maybe because you had to hire 4 police officers. Those are the kind of things you want to look at, Norm.
So now those people that are doing the $15 mobile vendor food versus somebody setting up a booth at the craft show, they're paying $50 or whatever for their food. What's the difference there then?
That's for you to decide. I'm just telling you why there's fees, and that's how you justify them under state statute. I'm not going to tell you what the number should be. That's not my job.
Well, technically, the craft show, they're paying that fee to the organizer of that craft show to pay for their expenses, to put up barricades, do their work. So the city's not getting any money from those vendors. That's a donation per se to be part of that event.
And then those, if there's food at those, though, they're paying us the 15 in addition to the 50 to participate in the street fair.
I don't know that.
If for Spring Fling, it's like food vendors there, do they have to get that from us?
I would think they would.
So that's, it's 2 different things.
Unless they're in the parking lot. I think if they're in the parking lot, they don't need it, right? Isn't it just on the street? Yeah. If they're in a private parking lot, they don't need the vendor.
Because they were both, I think.
I think that, I was trying to remember, that was what, 2 years ago we
Well, if
changed
it's a
it?
private parking lot,
Yeah,
that's
then you
not,
don't need it, yeah.
that's not a
Yep.
street vendor, but there was both at the last one, so I just was curious.
To my understanding, when they charge for that 50 or whatever, it's got to go to advertising. They got to have porta potties. There's other expenses with that. So it's not like they're sitting there just taking it it's used to pay for the stuff that's being done there. I understand. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what it is. Any other discussion?
To Norm's point, he asked when has it been changed? The ones that were changed on this from last year were the aquatic center rates that we discussed at a previous meeting. So those were updated on here. And then the other one that was changed was for the protective where is it? Snow removal and weed cutting charges. We amend that because there's an issue with the fine schedule versus what our fee schedule was. And the judge and Eric and I have been talking about that, so we'll have to come back to alter the fine schedule at some point. But we changed that on here where now it's just a flat rate of $40 plus the cost to cut it, whether it's the first, second, or third offense. Because originally it was tiered in our fee schedule, but that doesn't match the fine schedule. So now we need to go back and adjust the fine schedule to meet what their bond record or bond schedule says. So we'll be coming and doing that at a later date, but that's all that was changed. Those are the things, and those were the 2 things that were changed.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Meyer.
Aye.
Schermetzler.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Probson.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Abrams.
Aye.
Wolfel.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Action, approval, police department purchase of portable speed message board.
I'll make a motion.
Fran,
To purchase the portable speed message board.
I'll second that one.
Norm, discussion. All those in favor, or no, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Action, approve, funding of fire department study,
This is.
or the quote.
This is getting a quote that's properly, you're not funding anything, you're just putting out a bids. A request for proposals rather.
So it'd be approve issuing a request for quotes.
Request for proposal, yes.
So moved.
Who moved that? Bob?
I'll second it.
I want to say something before we vote then. Saying yes to allowing for someone to give a proposal is not me endorsing it. I think that we should pay for a consultant. I just wanted to say that. I want to hear all of the information, but so I just want to make that clear. I feel like there's people that don't think and aren't happy about that, but I just want to see how much it would cost.
Yeah, and that's my point for making the motion.
Right.
We don't have to take the bid if we don't like it.
Right.
But we won't know unless we get it.
It's just the way it's
And we'll
going.
learn more information at the next meeting, which could change.
Right. I just wanted to.
Give us more direction.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstained.
I'll do three.
One abstain.
Abstain.
Can you do that?
Sure. Yeas and nays.
Don't you have to have?
It counts as a no vote because
So it's Mayor and Hess no, and Fran abstained.
Ayes have it. And maybe I'll do roll call every time since it's,
Yeah.
no, just do it fast track. Okay, action, approve conditional use permit to install a rooftop solar system at 1702 Eisenhower Street in Holstein.
The action at,
Motion to, we need a motion to talk about it.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit.
Brad,
I'll second.
Becca, discussion, go ahead.
I would say this was just, it was approved at the plan commission to move forward with, to move to council to approve the conditional use permit for the installation of the solar panels at that residence.
Any other discussion?
So it is an allowed conditional use pending approval.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Action. Approve bid for engineering services for Jordan Avenue LRIP project. I believe we were,
this is the Excel bid.
the
So
XL.
Then you want to say approve Excel bid for.
Okay, approve XL bid.
I'll make a motion to approve Excel's bid for that project.
Norm,
I'll second.
Eric, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Notice.
So
Go
can I ask
ahead.
a question? Why, just because tomorrow I have to call these people back.
Mhm.
And they're gonna say, why did you guys take the highest bid?
Not that much higher.
Well, number one, you don't have to, because it's a service bid, it's not a product bid, it's not a public works project.
Okay.
It's a service. You can pick anything you want with services, okay? That's a consulting
Understood.
service. So, just so that there's not a misunderstanding that you had to put that out.
Right, but
For
normally
bids.
it's like lowest bid unless you have an issue, you know what I mean, like, kind of that
Well,
scenario.
but again, that's never required.
Okay.
You can pick
Because they're
whoever
gonna
you
ask
want.
why, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm not gonna have a good reason for that.
Yeah, I-
You work at Robert Lee all this time and all this more changing, and it's like, who's gonna call Excel when there's issues? I mean, I'm just saying, this is,
So,
you guys can get it, but I'm not the one gonna be taking those calls. I mean, I waited, finally got the Excel engineer quote, finally, I've been waiting a month. So,
I,
this is crazy, just to tell you the truth.
I think there's no hidden fees in the Excel bid.
There is, it's a quote, it's 6,500 or 7,000. I'm just lost. Good luck.
I felt like I remembered when Excel came in and did their presentation, I got the feeling that it would not be a bad idea see how the companies do it and give it a shot and see how people like it.
But
We
Now
know.
I gotta deal with new people, issues, it's just, whatever. And they're more expensive, that's what blows my mind. So now in the public sector, citizens are going, why are they taking a higher person who's higher for no rhyme or reason?
I see
Besides to
that-
try somebody?
I also remember that Robert E. Lee had its issues when we were dealing with some of that water stuff, and they couldn't even come up with the plans. And there-
Yeah,
I-
that would be
there was some stuff that happened there that we weren't all super happy with either. So if it goes poorly, though, I want you to tell us about it with Excel if you're not happy.
Well, it's already a pearly. I told them December 1st, and they couldn't get me a quote. I mean,
Well, we didn't have that information.
yeah, but I assumed you'd go with the lowest quote. They never asked my issues. Okay, I'm good with it. You guys already voted, so it's done deal. It's crazy.
I didn't know that they took a long time to get that to you.
Yep, I'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we did. We motioned
It's done.
to bring it up for discussion. And it was passed. I added the discussion after everything was voted on. All right, notice, January COW, the committee of the whole to be held January 4th with a special council meeting to follow. Any miscellaneous business? None?
There,
Go ahead.
there's no possible way we can let Jason give us an update.
You're gonna get there. It's coming on the I.
No,
Okay,
Miscellaneous business. He could talk then.
Okay,
okay.
You could allow him to do that. You just can't do an action.
Right.
and
Right.
fire chief too can talk then?
Sure.
Yeah, it was missed too.
Well, the fire chief is under I.
but we're not, we guys still gotta do the,
You gotta do the appointment of election officials.
and the notice of January call being moved. Well, there's no action on that. That's
Right, I just
just
said the
notice.
notice of January call meeting. And then we are under miscellaneous business.
No action,
eight,
appointment of
actually.
election officials.
I don't have number 8.
I got a bad one then. You
Yeah,
have to get your
don't-
election officials.
I don't have any.
There's not.
I don't have an eight.
in our Dropbox.
So what was advertised?
This is what was
What's-
advertised.
So stuff that we have in our Drop box is missing.
So that was there. What are the ones on the top say? Can somebody take a look at the officials? So it's posted there. Mark, do you know which one was sent to you? Can you look?
Email we had the elected officials.
Yeah, I remember seeing
Eight had email, so it just wasn't in Dropbox. So it was properly noticed at all the other ones. So this is the correct agenda. It just didn't make its way into the Dropbox because it was added later, but it was posted. Email has it. It was posted at the paper and at the posting out here. Can anybody look at the website just to make sure? Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I just want to,
Yes, it was on the, let's make it very clear, it was their public record, it was properly noticed, it was part of the paper notice.
Okay.
And so just because it didn't get in your Dropbox, which is just a convenience for the council, it is part of the official agenda. It should be acted on tonight.
Okay. Sorry everyone for the confusion. So, all right. So I did the notice. So number 8, action, appointment of election officials and inspectors for the 2022-2023 term. Lori Beck, Sandy Lotz, Sandy Bird, Greg Hegman, Wendy Rebecki, Lindsay Schultz, Catherine Thady, Wendy Weiser, Ann Westabart, Jill Sipple, Marianne Lauders, Tim Bondi, and Jane Meyer.
So this is for a term in the past?
Looking for a motion.
Is it supposed to 2022, 23? Should it be 24, 25?
Ooh, correction. So we can correct that motion. So we're looking for the
Appoint
motion.
Those election officials for the 2024.
25 season.
Yeah.
I'll second.
So who, Steve, Bob, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Miscellaneous business. fire chief resignation letter. Thank you for all your service.
Can I talk to him?
Go ahead.
I'd like to be included in the closed session and go over some of the issues. I had a couple of guys, I have letters here and reprimands on some of the guys that we're talking about. We do have policies. Lexipol has been helping us write the policies. The thing that happened is Casey left last year. Casey was supposed to be part of helping us write the policies. There was a change in the city handbook. I haven't gone back to Colin yet with the policies because Colin's been busy getting on board. My decision to retire was made back in earlier this year. I let Colin know about it when I came back off my foot surgery in July. It has nothing to do with half. Some of the guys that are left, Matt Ketter left because he moved to Kiel. He lives a block and a half away, less than a mile from the Kiel firehouse. He was running here and he wasn't making the trucks, so he went to Kiel. Is it a better situation that he's in Kiel now? Yes, because he can respond to Kiel Fire Department and come on a truck and assist us in patrolling. Curtis Halbach told us 2 years ago when we were gonna buy him new gear, he was gonna retire. Don't buy him any gear, so we didn't buy him any gear. Keith Bowen retired because of physical issues. The other ones I'd like to talk to you about, I'd like to take into a closed session at the next committee of the whole meeting and discuss this with you guys so you can get the whole story. You got a one-sided story that's been prejudiced against me and prejudiced by some people that I have on here, and I'll share with you all the letters that I have and all the other things that have happened at the committee of the whole meeting. I don't want to put it out in the public because some of it is pretty personal and taint the reputation of one person really good. So otherwise, if you want, I'll bring it up and we'll discuss that in an open meeting, and I don't think that's where it should be. I think it should be at another meeting. I asked to be on tonight's agenda in closed session, and it wasn't allowed. I'd like to thank the rest of the council for all your help, and thank the officers. There is no in the division. There is no division in the fire department. There's a lot less division. We're spending more time at the firehouse after practices. People aren't leaving right away. There's nights where they're till 10, 11 o'clock now. And it's not just 1 or 2 people, it's a lot of the department. Got a lot of fine young members. We've been training them up to take over this stuff, and that's what I've been working on this last year. I helped with the fire ladder or driver operator. I helped assist with that. I probably taught most of it when it was supposed to be taught by a guy from Marine Park. So I got my guys through the driver operator. I'm spending time with guys in firefighter 1, getting certified. I told a couple not to take the test till after the first of the year. I plan on staying on the department. I just took a new job I got a new job at Colin. I found out about the same time when I told Colin I was going to retire. I'm going to be spending a lot more time at that, and I don't have the time for the fire department to work on policies and that. That's why I stepped down. That was the biggest reason. But I'd like to be on the next agenda for the committee of the whole to discuss the other officers. And I'll show you the stuff that they were told.
Okay, all right, under miscellaneous public works director.
So I'll run through this quick because obviously it's 8 o'clock already. In November, obviously leaf collection, put up all the snowflakes. I wanted you guys to look at, when you have time, Railroad and Main Street. I already switched those over to LEDs. They're about $750, $800 for one snowflake to buy. So obviously we're talking about $50,000 a retail. So this year alone, we went to 1,200 bulbs this fall. That's only out from last year. So I'm trying to go to LED. Obviously, life expectancy a lot longer. Really cheap. Getting them. You just ordered a ton through Amazon for about 60 cents a piece. Those are a little more yellow, like more white crisp. I think they look a lot nicer. They're more orange on Wisconsin. You can barely see the difference though. But take a look. If everyone notice it, if you will. Yeah, right, exactly. So I want to next year hopefully have all 61. So there's 100 bulbs in each one. So it'll take quite a bit, but we should have it. Nice. Whoever donated those, we'll do it. Buy them now. We couldn't afford them. But anyway, snow equipment obviously got that out. Sand drills are out. That was in November. In December, we had a little bit of snow removal. We took down 3 dead pines in Kiwanis Park. 4 of those huge terrace trees on by the cemetery. We just took the last one down today. Cleaned up Jordan Creek from Heritage all the way around the corner. That's all cleaned up. Took 10 ash trees that were in there. Larry Dietz actually wanted them down, which was good. A bunch of buckthorn and willows, cleaned it all out. The ditch is all clean again. We have a lot of problems with the 1600 Kelly's mower. This year, he had oil leaks. So Mark spent about 2 weeks on it straight, pulled all pumps out of it. It's completely in pieces. The pumps and the motor that runs the two pumps were 13,500 new, just for those motors. But Mark had a connection down in, it's down by the border. It's called Quality Hydro. You'll see that in your invoices for $48.50. They have them. It's done. We're gonna pick them up tomorrow, and then so that's gonna save a ton of money, and that's $13.5 without labor. So he saved a ton of money by doing it himself. And then he rebuilt our right pull behind leaf wagon. That thing's a 2006 and never stuck into it. The whole arm was actually taken off. We rebuilt that whole thing. It looks really nice. So that's what he's been doing the last month. So that's all I have for now. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other miscellaneous? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.
Is it common to